It's the Gr8 Nrthrn Sexcast, episode 38. Kelly Guest here with
Colleen Bertino.
And who else is in the house?
Michael Radke.
Hey, we've got the trio back today. And Michael, I think it's really funny you switched your days because you were here on the last episode, the famous episode 11 of the Gr8 Nrthrn Sexcast. I think episode 39 is going to be another one of those where the downloads go completely through the roof because we have the triumphant return next week, Colleen, of Mrs. Sin.
Yes, and I will be available for that one. I will not be out of town or whatever was going. Oh no, I think I was sick. But what the hell? Yeah. You just don't want to be ill when you have a guest. That's bad.
Right. You don't. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And Michael had the pleasure of being in on that interview. So you, so selflessly, I might add, decided that you would switch with Miss Megan so that she could come. And quite honestly, I can't wait to see those two mix it up in a room. Because Megan's not exactly a shy wallflower either. No.
So. Yeah, shy does not really particularly pay attention to most of the folks over at Fantasy Gifts, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, not that people can't be private, but those are separate things. But no, shy, no.
No, there is no shyness there. So, guys, speaking of that, what's going on right now? I mean, we are in a new month. Holy moly, it's freaking September.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 degrees out. If you're by any chance listening to this, in January coming up, just remember that today was horrible and you wanted to be cold, and now it's cold. So there you go. We're still working on. I think we're going to be remodeling the Crystal store coming up in the first week of October.
Okay.
Getting a new register at the St. Paul store. Basic business stuff. We got a new line in from Curve of silicone battery operated vibrators.
Okay.
And there were anal beads that were sort of heart shaped, and what was really frustrating is that they didn't come. They came in an enclosed box, but we're really happy with them. They're a really good price, and so we're willing to take a chance on something that you couldn't see right off the bat without asking about it. I'm being fascinated by the state fair because that's coming up. Actively fascinated by the state fair because there's just my Facebook feed is filled. It's state fair time in Minnesota,
for sure,
and a Facebook feed is filled with everything going on there.
And you haven't been yet.
Tomorrow.
You're going tomorrow.
But I think, but I look. Sounds like I missed out on a couple of things in the crop art land.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there were two things. I saw this yesterday, and I guess two pictures only made it through the first day. One, they were been removed. One was a portrait of Bill Cosby done in canola seeds, otherwise known as rapeseed.
Oh, God.
And I got too many, so it was pulled. And the other one, and I'm confused by this, was a picture of two corn dogs, one bigger than the other, and it says size matters.
Why would that be taken down?
I have no idea. And I mean, they got through anyway, at the beginning. And I'm just like, I think someone he just said, we'll put it up as long as someone doesn't bitch. And of course, the first day they went, and I'm like, I said, oh my God.
When it comes to corn dogs, size does matter.
Oh, hell
there is the footlong corn dog.
I love the footlongs. Oh, I could eat the whole thing.
Yeah. It is really, There's only so much
talent.
Michael's demonstrating, actually, just for those of you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. But I've just been, passing up. Like, I not going on the first day. I did not get to see these gems in crop art land.
Oh my God! Well, the thing that gets me is that I'm gonna confess something truly here in Minnesota is sacrilegious. I hate the fair.
Oh, a lot of people do.
I just cannot deal with the crowds.
Oh yeah,
it just makes me crazy.
It is about I think. Since I spent 20 years working at Renaissance Festival, I can get through a crowd.
Yeah.
It is frustrating, but that's one of the reasons I go insanely early in the morning. Okay. And then by the time the afternoon hits, we sit for like 2 hours and do nothing.
Yeah.
And I'll, just watch the people.
Yeah.
But and then there are just times where I'm like, well, there's things I haven't done, but it has gotten too crowded, and I just leave.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I get there early, because I know that the public transportation is spectacular.
Yeah.
But when I want to leave, I want to leave.
Exactly.
I don't want to wait in another line. I don't want to wait in a bus. I don't want to deal with, someone's sticky kid on the bus. I mean, no. When I want out, I want out.
Yeah.
But if that means I've got to get my ass there at 6:30 in the morning, I will get my ass there at 6:30 in the morning.
Well, I think it's funny because they every day on the TV newscast that they tell you how many people were there at the state fair. It cracks me up, and it's like, why don't they limit it? Well, I think it's the old misery loves company. It's like, let's cram as many of us in there. Ooh, I was there. I was there that day that there was 490 million people, and it was nuts to butts throughout the entire thing. It's like, what? It's like, please just shoot me. Now, if I could be Star Trek beamed in,
Do what you want and get beamed out.
Then I'm good. But I'm with you, Colleen. It's like, get me the F out of here. It's like, it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
And so last week, by the way, we just have to mention, if you didn't hear episode 37 with special guest Kim Ayers, and I don't even know, I mean, yes, she works for Topco, which is a major company in, wholesaler.
We've been in business with them for instance. It's one of the first companies my dad found was
Sure.
Topco.
Yeah.
They've gone through a couple ownership changes, and they've got some really fun stuff out. And so she's been working them for quite a number of years.
Yeah, but she's also a sex toy reviewer, and she's just.
Yeah.
And so she brought in the what was it, the twerking?
We were calling it twerking butt, but it truly is it's a very high-end masturbator. It's there's Bluetooth enabled, it's app enabled. It's a fanny that really you can have fun with.
You know what was funny? After you guys left, I think you guys we went straight into a lunch meeting, and I think I saw you guys. I think you went to
we went around the corner to a restaurant,
to hang out with Kim. Well, the only thing I was kind of taking an informal poll around the table, and the only thing that the biggest criticism people had of it, because they're like, hey, if that's what you're into, no big deal, but they didn't like the fact that it was small. And one of the guys said it looked like a small girl's butt, and we think they need to be bigger.
Yeah, no. They are going to be making it bigger, but the thing is that when you're making a product like that, not that the mechanism inside isn't expensive, but that material, the cyber skin and all those things, it's insanely expensive.
Really?
Insanely. Yeah. If you want a really high quality product, just putting a couple of inches onto that thing could add $300-400 to the price.
No kidding.
It is really, really expensive. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of factors in that.
There are a lot of things that
add the prices.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but I think they are going to make it larger. They are going to put more ethnicities, and stuff like that. But it is the first, one out there.
Okay.
But we've run across a lot of things we just look at and go. It's a little. It is, especially when all the no hair on the thing went. And I was like, okay,
it does,
this does not look like a grown woman.
Yeah.
But
back in the day, if you find a masturbator, you had all these pubic hairs and everything, and then it's like, I don't know, I was kind of disturbed by that. I'd rather just be hairless.
It's also, harder to clean that too.
Well, now it's not an issue because it's anything goes with that.
Right.
And it's so personal. I just want you to, speaking of anything goes, I did want you to mention, because you emailed this out the other day and I thought this was pretty cool. You put sort of a, I don't know, what would you call it? It's not a disclaimer, but for Facebook and all the different sites out there.
Well, a lot of times, I sort of consider this in my personal stuff too, and I figure, my site, my rules.
Yeah.
And the same thing with my stores. But we had posted an item, and a lot of people can say, hey, it's not for me, or this is going on. But if you're making shaming comments,
Yep.
I'm going to boot your ass right off my site.
Okay.
And I know that sometimes I have that I may have said something stupid or done something where I'm like, was that the kindest thing I've ever done? When I'm trying to decide whether or not, things are going on. I know that we talked about sexual stuff, like people that like to be, certain things that we weren't sure how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But really, be kind and be responsible. I mean, if this particular item or book or thing or toy is not for you, you can either refrain from commenting on it or say, not for me, but or I'm confused by this or what's going through there. But to go, ew, ick, I can't, there was several comments that were discussed and sort of shame-based, which are different than not my thing, or I don't like your return policy, or, I mean, if someone was to make a comment about an employee, that this person, I wasn't thrilled about the service, that's fine. if someone was to call one of my employees, a fat cunt, or something, then there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, and I've had, and I've left up things that have said, people, when people have said something that's not, I'll try and respond to it if it's not the kindest thing towards us. But if it shows disgust for someone or is shaming someone, I've got a problem with that. And, it's my page, my business, my site, my rules.
Yeah. No, and that's
and I thought about it and I said, there was just something about this that just really hit me the wrong way. Yeah. I don't know. It was a gut reaction I had and went out there. And I think maybe it's because I was spending a lot of time that day dealing with, we're going to be working with Yelp. Unlike Google or Facebook or something like that, Yelp actually has human beings that you can talk to.
Imagine that.
Actual humans. Yes. I'm not paying for reviews. But I'm paying, let's say that my hours are going to be changed on Labor Day. We're only going to be open daytime hours. I can shoot an email or call one person, and they'll change it in all 9, New Jersey stores.
Cool.
So believe me, that right there, it saves Megan and I a crap load of time. And that is worth everything. And they'll help us organize the pictures. And, there's things that they can do. There's more sites. I can, say, for example, the Crystal location, because we don't really sell Halloween costumes anymore. A lot of the pop-up stores have just taken care of that. So what we have left is all going to one store. So I can put that on the Crystal Yelp site.
Okay.
And the Crystal Facebook site and the Crystal, stuff like that. And it's just going to help us do stuff like that better. So I'm, that's a site you can, someone says something nasty about you. I can respond to it, but I can't make it go away.
Right. Right.
But on certain sites where I can make something that is shameful, to show shame or shaming, I just have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't blame you at all. I mean, look at what's going on in the news and with all the back and forth things with police people getting shot and protests and everything else. People are I think we could all take a be kind to be thoughtful lesson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not that sometimes you need to make your point heard, but like I said, my site, my rules.
I don't blame you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame you. Well, so because Kim Ayers is such a character, and there was no shortage of material to go. I mean, quite frankly, she could come in once a month for indefinitely, and we'd never get through everything that she can talk about. But she was a great guest. We thank her. We hope she'll come back. Absolutely. But Colleen, we got to kick off the news segment today with, and I had seen some of this stuff, but go ahead and set up the scientist photograph tweeting. It's funny.
Oh, I just, once again, I have, because of what I do, my friends will find things and plunk things on my page. Mm-hmm. So I thank all of you for the stuff that you find. And there's, I guess there are scientists out there that somehow someone posted a picture of a biologist posted a picture or tweeted a picture of some animal's penis. Mm-hmm. And then another one posted another picture of another animal's penis. And so they started doing what has been hashtagged junk off. So someone actually got all these pictures. So, scientists have a sense of humor too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And some of these pictures are hilarious.
Oh, they're hilarious. But I got to tell you, the dolphin penis was so disturbing. It's huge, and it's got this weird thing at the end. It's just, yeah. Yeah,
I have to admit, just out of all the lovely little pictures of dolphins you see, and all of the you can do it posters and all that new age dolphin crap, the 5-foot penis was never any part of it.
No, and it is, they're big. And
I'm barely exaggerating.
No, I mean they're almost as long as the whole dolphin. Mm-hmm. I mean it's weird. I mean you've got to go look at hashtag junk off. And just real quick too, because on that same note, I had found something before you sent this over to me. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the New York Museum of Sex, and there's Megan has been there, I think.
Yeah, someone stopped in when they were
Somebody had been there. But anyway, they have a picture of, and it's real. It's not photoshopped. And this is why I had on our little prep sheet here, A2 flipper. There's a dolphin penis in another dolphin's blowhole.
Oh, my gosh.
Blowhole sex. And there was an article about it. So apparently, dolphins, in addition to the other ways that they are similar in communication to humans, they also like to screw for fun. and
not? Well,
try different things.
They're
Blowhole sex.
they're very they are very intelligent animals.
And obviously versatile.
Yeah. But there's a picture of it. So I found that last week. Just out of curiosity, how often do you guys do the hashtag thing?
Actually, very rarely. I'm just sort of getting in the,
I'm slowly starting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, it looks, well, one, I think it's a little passe, and two, either they don't do it or they put like 12 on there, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
I mean, it gets a little frustrating, and I don't even have a personal Twitter account.
Don't you?
No, I am tweet.
I have a couple.
Yeah. Well, of course you do.
A fantasy gift thing.
Well, there's that, but then there's also the thing that you don't want to be committed to one identity, do you? You want to be able to be out there as whoever you want to be in a given day.
Right.
No, I mean, I get it. I was going through there, and we've linked the Facebook to the Twitter, but there is sometimes when Megan will put something just on the Twitter feed, and we're trying to figure out this Instagram thing, but you can't. It's like you have to hook it up to someone's phone, and then I'm like, once again. Do the people who create this shit, do they actually really understand how people are using it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to sell ads, they're trying to do business, but they do everything they can, and as far as I can tell, to mess with anyone who actually owns a business.
Yeah.
Because I would use it more if I could figure it out.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I've and I can't ask my daughter because of what it is. But for the most part, when I'm looking at things and I go and I search the land of the web, I'm finding just hundreds and thousands of people that have the same questions that I do. Does anyone from Google or Instagram or anyone look at this stuff and go, wow, maybe we could sell more advertising if the folks that actually have the money, which is, folks that are not teenagers, know how to use our stuff.
Right.
Like promoting small businesses and local businesses and stuff like that. Make it a little easier for them, and then, that's helping Google as well.
Well, and then there's the whole layer of behavioral target marketing there, which, is disturbing, but it's obviously effective. And I'm sure that they'll come along with something that's even creepier eventually to replace that. And it's going to be like that movie Minority Report. Remember when Tom Cruise is walking by something and the ads changed and they said hello to him?
Well, that's already happening in Target.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things will. But if you sign up to something at Target and you run across something, it'll tell you what's on sale that you bought in the store right now. They're testing it.
Oh God. Well, and
I drive by Target or Walmart, and I have an app that tells me, here, you can get these sales. And I wasn't planning on going there, and here I'm stopping at Target because it's got on sale.
Did you guys hear about the Chicago Target that they're building? That they've applied for not one, but 2 liquor licenses.
Yeah, because shopping at Target with booze.
With a drink in your hand.
Mind you, this is what Vegas is for. Mojitos and Vegas and buying bizarre crystal beavers. That's yes. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, not a thing. Not a thing.
No, mojitos and Steuben crystal beaver. Because as you're walking through the wind and you have a couple mojitos in you and you're walking past a gift shop and you see sparkly things. I like sparkly things.
I know you do.
And I look over and I'm like, is that a crystal? What the hell is that? And I get closer and I realize it's a little crystal beaver. And all I'm thinking is mine. Because this was years ago and it still makes me laugh.
Okay, just out of curiosity,
it's made in America too. It's Steuben.
Okay, so do you have like where does one display such a treasure?
It sits on my computer at work.
Okay.
We see it every day.
Every little crystal beaver.
We're reminded of this crystal beaver.
And occasionally occasionally it's a toy model. We put it in the pictures. With the stuff. Yes.
So it photobombs things? Mm-hmm. Nice.
Quite often.
Because it's a crystal beaver.
What? Okay.
And it made me giggle.
Oh, God. Well, speaking of giggles, going back to the junk off real quick, I think probably, Michael, the funniest one was the Vervet monkey. They have blue balls. I mean, their balls are actually blue. I mean, and a really kick-ass color.
It is
blue.
a really awesome blue.
It is. And but then, I think most, human males are crossing their legs right now going, and hearing that.
Blue
but
balls.
Check out #junkoff. So this is kind of an uncomfortable but yet uplifting. Boy, what a weird! I swear to God, that was a Freudian slip there. Story coming up. This guy, 43-year-old man from Edinburgh, Scotland. Was in a horrible accident when he was a 6-year-old kid. Got hit by a car and dragged, and it obliterated his genitals. And he has not had them until now, where they fitted him with an 8-inch bionic penis. Okay, so this really actually happened. The way that it works, there's a button on the scrotum, and he can inflate it, and there's fluids from an implant in his belly. And so he says, here's a quote, I love this, and I can picture this with the accent, right? When you want a bit of action, you press the on button. And when you are finished, you press another button. It takes seconds. So here's a guy, and he says, some ladies might want to try it out. And he's like taking comers right now, which is another Freudian slip. But anyway, he literally was on a TV show, and he's the second person. There was actually a penis transplant in
there's a
South
gentleman,
Africa.
yes.
And he's actually expecting a child. So it worked that well, guys.
Nice.
But anyway, the bionic penises. And so any comments with stuff you have on the shelf right now?
I'm just trying to figure out, if they're going to, sell them separately, because I mean, we have those. They're just not you just need usually a harness to attach them.
He's probably done that.
Yeah.
I bet. This really has to do with him. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of an interesting story. That's got to be one of the most up there with the brain, weird body parts to try to work with. As far as, because it's so temperamental, right? No offense to the men, right? Michael's looking at me like,
well, the thing, because with any human, I mean, you lose a part, and you're not going to feel whole.
Right.
Now you can work around that, and people do that, but in general, there's something, missing, and people do that. But very few people, if they lose an arm, don't try and have some sort of prosthetic. Or a leg, or if you lose an eye, you breast cancer, you try and get surgery to put it, to put it back. You try and make yourself, as functional as possible.
Yeah.
So why not a penis?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
No,
it's just as important as everything else.
Right.
And hopefully it'll be interesting to see how he does, following up. But the idea that they can now transplant is pretty cool. But this is another complete different option. I think some of the movies, I'm sure you're going to have one of the Scal's movies. Kayla Cupcakes. Do you know her?
I don't. Doesn't
No,
sound
I'm gonna have to ask too.
Private Stuffers 1, Sexcretaries, and Mature Thunder Buns. Sound Susan Surratt?
No.
Wow.
Still looking at penises.
Well, of course you are.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I actually saw the video of this. This is worth Googling and checking online. She was arrested in Florida. Surprise, surprise. She's now 54, and she was arrested for disorderly intoxication, and that was in Fort Lauderdale. And she went into her bond hearing, and the judge asked her what she did for a living, and she replied that she worked as an escort and a porn star, and told him her stage name, which again is Kayla Cupcakes. And she then went on to share the fact that she felt she had been brutalized by police, and proceeded to lift up her shirt and flash the judge to show these alleged marks. So basically got an eye full of boobs right in there. And after this demonstration, the attorney said, she needs some help, and she's not really going to get that in jail. So the judge let her out on $100 bond and said she had to go get a mental eval. But I just want to ask you, she might have still been drunk for all I know when she went in and did this. But if once you've been on a porn set, showing off your breasts is like so no big deal. I mean, can you see just becoming so desensitized, or do you think that she's crossed over here?
So in other words, because somebody saw female nipples, she's mentally unstable. But I'm pretty sure that if a guy had undone his shirt and said that, I was, that he would not be considered mentally unstable.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that she may not have been wasted or this or that, but the fact that once again someone is saying that female sexuality is, if it's not in a particular sort of box, is that there's something's wrong with them. I mean, we had decades of people being sterilized because they said that women were feeble-minded. I mean, this stopped in the 80s. I'm reading a book about this, but but I'm saying once again, a woman shows her, a woman does something that is remotely sexual, and she's mentally unstable.
Well,
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that it was an appropriate place or this or that, but just you say, this is not the appropriate. But to slap the mentally unstable label
just a
on
nipple.
that, I find that fascinating. If you could say this person is intoxicated, or this person, or this person, but mentally unstable for showing your breasts.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I'll qualify my comment by saying that if, I am all about people with mental disorders getting help, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's far too many people wandering the streets, I might add, who are there because they don't have access to the kind of help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I call bullshit on this one. I just call bullshit because she's a porn star. She has no compunction whatsoever. And quite honestly, is it not plausible that in a courtroom, if a man is alleging that he was, punched on the chest or whatever, that a judge might theoretically ask him to show visible move, unless the whole procedure should be that those are photographed and then submitted as, exhibits and things of that nature. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. And the judge but you got to see it because it's in an actual courtroom, and it's just funny to see because, and not that, and you're like, whoa, well, okay, there they are. Hello, ladies. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Do you guys know Kayla Jane Danger? Does that actress's name?
Okay, that sounds familiar, but I have to admit, that the DVD portion of the business is one that's always been that I haven't paid as much attention to because there's just only so much my brain can handle.
There's a lot of stars that you have to try to remember. I'm trying to tweet with a lot of them, and you can't keep up. There's a lot of porn stars.
There's
out
so
there.
many. Yeah. Well, she actually, if you saw a picture of her, real cute girl. And she does look kind of familiar in some ways. I don't have a list of any of her titles, but what she did, her previous life was at New York's Parsons School of Design, and then she found she had other talents too, apparently. She has just created Darth Vibrator. Okay, and it is a Darth Vader made, and it's big, it's life size, made entirely of sex toys, more than $3,000 worth of sex toys.
I did see, and that's probably why that name sounded familiar, is that this did run across my feed, and I just giggled over it, and I was fascinated. Yeah, a friend who's very, very much into Star Wars found this and plopped it on my page.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, both of our interests.
Now we have to find this.
You got to look at it because you do a double take because it's 7 feet tall and it's like, oh, Darth Vader, and then you look again and then you really start seeing the details pop out. It's one of those double take kind of deals. It took him about 8 hours. It's got more than 200 vibrators, 10 paddles, a whip, 2 rows of anal beads, a rubber fist, and hooker boots.
I think Megan may have found this, whether or not it was on the one of the Fantasy Gifts pages or whether it got to our page, but I know she'll be able to find it.
Yeah, it's quite
because it's I'm like it's like really good.
it's really kind of impressive. So guys, there's an interesting. I got to find this here. There was something that came out about condoms. Here it is, the condom study that I just thought was worth mentioning here because this topic comes up, all the time on the show, and everybody's all about safety here, but we know that there's a lot of personal preference. And one of the biggest reasons, Michael, you can speak to this, a lot of guys that refuse to or, whatever, is because they claim that it can kill their erection. And you can comment on that if you want to, whether or not you are of that opinion. But there was a survey of nearly 500, this was done with heterosexual men between the ages of 18 and 24, so the age of getting busy for guys, right? Yeah. And they finally had to admit that nope, in fact, no effect on the performance whatsoever. And that was 38% said for sure no. And then the rest of them, 38%, rather, the same number, really had to admit that it had to do with the application process.
That's putting them on.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward, It's like you got to stop everything and, slip on a condom and stuff.
Yeah, they're just putting that on. And then if I remember, it's the same stuff they got through there. Once they finally got through everything, they realized the folks had other problems other than the condom. Mm-hmm. They like to blame the condom.
That's just part of the issue.
Yeah.
So interesting. They did a paper. This came out of Britain, I'm pretty sure. And the quote was, men who first experience loss of erection when they use condoms might worry about difficulty experiencing erections more generally and hence be more vulnerable. So once again, it's head game, But I just thought that was an interesting paper because I think that I don't know. I mean, you have a teenager, and I don't know at what phase. And I mean, I know that you're pretty open, and you do not like to couch things in cutesy names and things like that. But it's like, you know, having this conversation and maybe giving some, how do you say, ammunition, if you will, to counteract that. Should your teenage...
Yeah, I don't. I know that that she's had some classes.
Okay.
And I
She
know
knows how to
that
put one on a banana.
They
We know
put one
that.
on a banana, and they did all that sort of stuff. And it's really funny because every now and then I've shown her a couple of things that are age appropriate, and she just looks at it and goes, "Why is this a thing? Why would you?" I mean, you should, you know. And I know I have friends that have older children, you know, that are, you know, they're in first or second year of college, or, you know, older in high school and stuff like that, and they're. Okay, they're my friends, so they're, you know, most of them are not prudes about stuff, so they're talking to their kids too. But the kids are very matter of fact about this. It's just something that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not a thing. You know? It just is.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about that. Now, mind you, that's also, you know, folks in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. I'm sure that if you were chatting in many other states, they would have, you know, there would be an awful lot of misinformation and folklore out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least here in the Twin Cities, I think folks are doing a reasonable job at explaining the actual, you know, reality versus fantasy lands of people's ideas.
Yeah, but it's weird that these days, you know, like I have not raised any children, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine, you know, just trying what that must be like, you know, these days. But it's not like they can just have the talk with you one time. Like maybe that was the case when a lot of us were kids. Now you have to be able to discuss a whole other realm and even back and forth of different issues that are related to sex now.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, it you know, and a lot of times, you know, they'll ask a question. I mean, Liz mentioned this, that her son asked, like, what are these? And he was pointing to his scrotum. And so she explained, and that was, you know, and then it was like one other question, that was it. And a lot of times, you know, and people, they're just afraid that, I'm like, the idea of being afraid of talking to your child is just, I find amazing. You know, you just give them the answer, if they, you know, and then if they have another question, that's fine. I mean, not everything is a 45-minute dissertation on what's going on.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It just, you know, you get the information, they'll ask if they need more. I mean, there's a spectacular website out there for kids that are going through there, and I've got it linked on the Fantasy Gifts page. It's called scarletine.com, and it's honest, you know.
How do you spell that, Colleen?
Scarlet, and then I think there's only one T, so the word Scarlet and then EEN.com. I'm pretty sure
we can
that's
verify that, and Megan will put it up for you.
But it's a spectacular site. And I found this from, this was a link that I found through a friend who has kids that are a few years older than me.
Okay.
And she's like, this is a spectacular site.
Okay.
And it just has, I mean, you know, they do not dumb down anything, but, you know, and it's not overly, you know, scientific too. It's honest answers about what's going on.
Okay.
And,
that's a great
you know,
idea.
personally, I think the site's a little busy, but then again, I'm old and I've got too many things I'm looking at. I'm sure that it does perfectly fine for the target audience it's going to.
Okay. Sweet. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one to know. Speaking of younger people, this is really interesting, and this was done in Britain. And there's a website, and you guys can go check it out. It's YouGov is the name of the site and the organization, and they wanted to talk about. They wanted, because we've got so much gender and sexuality. Well, how do we say? I don't want to say ambiguity, but you guys know what I mean. The
Fluidity.
Fluidity. Thank you. That's a way better way to put it. I was really shocked about this. 1 in 2 18 to 24-year-olds do not identify as exclusively heterosexual. Okay? So this is really interesting. Now, their counterparts that are older, 72% do. But they are far more likely to say, well, you know, I'm not entirely sure. And then they go into homosexual and bisexual responses, but they're not even saying that. 46% of those 18 to 24-year-olds, they're not even claiming to be bisexual or anything else. They're just saying, no, I wouldn't call myself completely exclusively hetero. How interesting is that?
That is really interesting.
I think it's because they actually have more than likely, it's an idea that went through the majority of human beings' minds, but someone didn't have a vocabulary for it or an outlet for it or to understand what's going on. The amount of times I hear from people, when you ask, when did you come out or when did you know that you were transgender? I mean, these humans, boy, you can say, know when they're like 4 or 5 years old, but they don't have the vocabulary for it.
Yeah.
And they don't know that other people like them exist. Yeah. And I think it's handy to know that you're not in a rigid box over what's going on. And I think most folks are going to find themselves somewhere on the scale, and they're getting that, and that's where they probably stay for the majority of their lives.
And I believe that's where the Q comes from in the LGBTQ, TQ. Now it's questioning, It's like, and you're so young, I wouldn't commit to one anyways. When I was younger, I wanted to try both, see what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. And I think that's the best thing to do. Figure out what you want to do because you need to be happy with your decision.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they used the Kinsey scale here. So a lot of these people identified between 1 and 5, which is a number that they have you pick, and there's descriptions, but that's not either exclusively heterosexual nor exclusively gay. The number 6 is exclusively homosexual, and that was only 6%. But there's just a huge number of people that fell in the middle. And I like the comment, or it's interesting rather, from one of the researchers that worked on the study. He said, I don't think these numbers show a drastic rise in the number of gay, lesbian, and bisexual people. However, it seems to show that young people are less quick to rule out the idea as inconceivable, which is interesting. And they may be more prone to experiment, even if they know they're more suited to heterosexuality. At least the idea of it doesn't shock them or strike them as out of bounds.
Still keeping an open mind.
Yeah, which is handy too, because if they're open-minded about themselves, they're going to be open-minded about others.
Right.
And I think that's where it helps, where they can put themselves in the mindset of somebody else.
And that's what's helping younger kids come out of the closet. They're finding out that it's not a shameful thing. Yep. And hopefully suicide rates will start dropping. I hope, now knowing people are,
and bullying rates, because if you can identify with someone else, then then
you'll be more comfortable and you're more accepted.
Yep.
And that's what it's about. Younger kids need to be accepted. They feel acceptance, and you don't want to be bullied for your friend because of how you feel.
Well, yeah.
So you're going to hide, and then you're going to be miserable.
Exactly. And I think we've all known one or more people who either never came out or came out so late in their lives. I remember years ago a guy who had raised 3 children and been married, and finally in his late 40s, early 50s said, "Nope, I'm done." And he came out and then probably lived as his true identity for maybe a decade, and then passed away of AIDS, which just sucked. I missed him, but the whole thing just bummed me out.
Yeah. No, I've actually, this past weekend, or week, whatever, I semi-binged watched, because there was, breaks in the, is it Grace and Frankie? Frankie and Grace, whichever one it is on Hulu Plus.
Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda and Martin Sheen and the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
About the 2 law partners that decide that they want to be together. And, these are folks in their 70s.
How many episodes is this?
I think there's 13 episodes. And I
Is
think
it
they're
pretty
coming
good?
back here, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I got teary-eyed a few times.
Okay.
And and I thought the characters were really good. I was less... The kids got a little annoying at the beginning, but then I'm getting in because they've got grown adult children in it, and they're all dealing with it, and it's really fascinating, and it's also nice to see non-perfect people act. These are people in their 70s.
Yeah.
And they've got nice, fun roles here, and they're going through there.
Yeah, there's a lot of actor power in that group.
Actually, this past couple of weeks, I finally got on the Amy Schumer bandwagon. I'm way, way late to the party on that one, and I was fascinated by how many of the sex toys that we carry that I found in the episodes. Oh my God!
Oh, no kidding.
And I'm like, which one? Oh my God, that's a Tantus. And I'm looking through there, and I'm like, I think I recognize that rabbit. I mean, she's not shy about the sex toys and sexuality in her performances.
That's awesome.
It is bad. I'm like, I am so late to this party, but I love it.
Oh, speaking of that, doesn't it bug? I mean, I think we've all had, anybody who's ever surfed the web and clicked on articles that looked like they were going to be interesting has had that major letdown when you click on it. Well, there was a sex toy one that I was looking at over the weekend. oh, the best 13 best ever sex toys. So I'm expecting a Kim Ayers-esque review and why, whatever. All it was pictures and prices. And it was an article. It wasn't an ad, you guys. It was an actual, somebody posted it. And I'm like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it was, I hate feeling robbed. It's like, give me something. And,
Right.
And then I'll watch your ads and whatever.
Sounds like you just gave them your email address.
Thanks,
You're now
Michael.
signed up.
Great. A couple of the reasons why we might want to fantasize, guys, just a quick note. So fantasy gifts, tell me, agree, disagree. Fostering creativity.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the whole point of it.
Yep. And getting to know yourself. Would you guys say that you've ever learned anything interesting about yourself through fantasies, sexual fantasies specifically?
I don't know. Maybe. I think if you actually get brave enough to share something, then you learn to trust the person you're with more. And so you trust your relationship, you trust you. Mm-hmm. I can see that when you're talking with someone or a fantasy, that's going through there. And, just getting to know someone well enough that you're comfortable to share this. So you learn a lot about, like, hey, I think I really like this person. I'm willing to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys both advocates of sharing your fantasies?
Certain ones.
So, yeah. I know what I'm saying is because they're not everything. Some things are just for you.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with that too. And I that's what I find interesting about, folks that can in fact just put it all out there. I'm like, just some personalities, or some people are more private than others.
Yeah.
And so it just, there are people that share things with me, not about sex or there's life that's going through there. And I find, and I know they haven't shared with others, and I'm very honored that they'll share that with me. But I'm sure they haven't shared everything with me because there's just certain people that you're going through there. And I can see that with, your personal sexual fantasies. Sometimes you just, you got a little something for yourself.
Yeah. And that could change your life forever. If you decided to partake in a certain fantasy, it could be a life-changing thing for the good or for the bad. And I'm always afraid it's going to go for the bad. If I try this fantasy, I might not be married tomorrow.
Yeah. The fantasy equivalent of Chicken Little, Michael?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's it. Because, I'm like, okay, I've got a fantasy, and it works in my head. And if I go out there, then that means I have to work to get another one.
Yeah, this one's mine.
I have to admit, there's a lazy, there could be a lazy factor there, too. That, hey, this works in my head, and I'm just, it does what it's supposed to do.
Because I never know where this stuff is going to go.
There's just a lot of times you're like, I know, I'm done thinking. I mean,
I like this one. This is a good one. I'll keep. Well, this is kind of speaks to you, Michael. And They said a mental holding space. It's a safe place. It's just yours, and you can just hang on to it and just keep it there. So I guess it's another one of those kind of anything goes sort of deals. But I did not want. I've run across this more.
I think I want to ask Mrs. Sin that because I'm like, when you are someone that's willing to really put your sexuality out there. Are there fantasies that she hasn't found someone to share it with yet? Remind me. We got to ask that.
Yeah, we got to. Everybody make a mental note. Mm-hmm. Okay, we will do that. So, and let me just invite people right now too. For those of you who did not catch the world famous episode 11 with Mrs. Sin's first ever appearance on the Gr8 Nrthrn Sexcast, which was so regrettably not the same, even though it was fantastic without Colleen having been here. I lament that every time I think about it. But anyway, she's going to be here next week with us. And she's just, you'll see for yourself. But you can go back and listen to that episode. But if you have any questions for someone who is active in the swinging world, Facebook them to us. You can send them in a private message. You can post them on our page if you want. But we will ask anything because she really doesn't have any inhibitions about sharing.
Not at all. She's pretty open to everything she does.
Yeah. And some of the stories that we got, again, pancakes. I still haven't had pancakes.
Forget about that.
Yeah, or waffles. One
Waffles.
of the two.
It was waffles.
Yeah.
And then bend her over the couch.
That one left a mark for me. Yeah. So anyway, Mrs. Sin will be back here next week. But one thing I definitely send us your questions if you have them. One of the things you guys, this comes up all the time, and I couldn't. And Michael, I'm so glad you're here for this.
Oh, good.
Okay, the whole quandary of sex on the first date or not. Okay, so there's a whole list that we're going to go through, and I just want to throw these out to the panel and see what you guys have to say.
Okay.
So the first one is don't do this because the first date is not enough time to talk about past sexual history that may have resulted in diseases that you may be able to catch.
Okay, so I have to ask something. Are we assuming that this is the first time you've ever met someone? Because I know very few people that have not either gone online and talked to someone forever, or it's a friend that they've known forever. I mean, who doesn't know the person they're dating anymore?
Unless you're going to a bar and picking somebody up and going home.
And then that's a hookup, and that's not a date.
That's a hookup.
So I'm like, what century are these questions from?
Well, they're from 2015.
Okay.
But that's an interesting point. You know, how well did you know that person before this first actual date? And so do you have a friendship? So is it really still the first date? Or if it's taken that turn, in a way, you've almost been retroactively dating already.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, because if it's, if it's a larger group and then suddenly you meet someone and you're out there in a group and and then one day someone just finally gets brave enough to say, let's have dinner together, and the other person says, yeah, then obviously they've been thinking, speaking of fantasies, they've probably been thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another woman. And now this woman says, absolutely, I'm fine with it. And she says, I don't like treating sex like a prize or an arbitrary milestone because then we suppress our desires for the sake of social norms. And what she's basically saying is, I don't want to hang it out there as a dangling carrot. I do it if I want to and for no other reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that makes a lot more sense now.
I do too.
We're going through there because once again, and I'm sure these rules, are so far the first two of them, female point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, as the guy, I don't know, it always pisses me off.
Well, here's this one's gonna get your rankled again. So this is a female responding. She said, "Yeah, go ahead and have sex with him if you don't care for the guy or if you're just not thinking about a relationship. And no, don't do it if he's a keeper." Well, I would like to ask right here, how the fuck do you know if he's a keeper on the first date?
Not gonna.
Seriously. Unless you've known him for a while.
We are once again all about sex just is.
Yeah,
We've spent centuries trying to squash it down, trying to legislate it, trying to do everything, which is why we still have laws against everything, and mostly coming down on women are bad if they do it and guys are good old boys.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the next one cracks me up kind of. This person's like, I think it's a great indicator of how things are going. If we don't click mentally, then we're not going on a second date or ever having sex anyway. So if I feel it, I'm going to do it.
Right.
That's the next one.
And I'll put it this way: if someone doesn't want to see you after you have sex on the first date, then you've learned a lot about that person.
That's right.
That they're like, hey, that you're not in the same place.
You don't have to go all the way. I personally, when I was back in the dating pool, I had my own certain personal rules. It's like, okay, first date, I will only go so far, and it'll take a certain amount of time to get to know somebody before they get, I'm putting a prize on or anything, but I do have limits on where I will go until I get to know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's that, and each person different, and the person better be on the same page, because if they're not, then you're not meant to be together anyway.
Well, okay, I'll tell you guys a story because this is kind of interesting. Okay, so I met, my boyfriend who this month, it's 6 years that we've been together now, and we've been living together for 3. So we met on Match.com, and we went out. I don't even know how many weeks now. I want to say it was 6 or 8 weeks before we had sex. And part of the reason of this, I think, neither of us were in a hurry. And I was really preposterously quickly just one toe out of my marriage. It was so soon. And I wasn't really, I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't expect to end up with a boyfriend. I don't even know what I thought, but I was goaded on by one of my Jewish mother friends. You need to go on dates. You need to have guys buy you drinks. You need to blah, 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 blah. And I did it. And she was, okay, here I am 6 years later. But I have this thing with him in particular, and this is so weird, you guys. But every time for the first 3 weeks we were dating, I saw him maybe, twice a week, a couple times, and I'd meet him in every time I would forget what he looked like. And I'd be terrified, if I was going into a crowded place. One time I went into the local downtown, and you know what an absolute madhouse that place can be and how packed. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to find him? because I would go completely like amnesiac towards his looks every time. And what's really funny about it, he's a great looking guy.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, I just couldn't. Isn't that weird? So it's like I couldn't have had sex with him because it's like, well, I don't know if I'll like you in the morning because I won't know if I'll fucking recognize you. I mean, it was, but then I got past it, but I don't know. I do not know what that was about. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, you know what he looks like now, right?
Yes. I'm able to pick him out of a crowd.
This is good. Well, a lot of people have face blindness, stuff like that, but it easily could have been just sort of a self-preservation mechanism.
Yeah.
You weren't ready yet. You weren't ready. Yeah, you said if you were like one toe out of that, stuff like that, you're like, okay, what am I doing here? Yeah. Because the old rules are the first person out or this or that is the what's the word I want? The throwaway. The throwaway person.
Oh, right. Oh, the rebound.
Rebound. Yeah.
Rebound. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the person's really nice, do you want it to be the rebound person? But sometimes you just meet the right person. Well, like I said, we're not kids anymore. So at this point, you know what the hell you want.
Yes.
You know what you want, and you're not going to put up with crap.
Yeah.
At least at this point, you shouldn't be putting up with crap.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No. You know exactly what the hell I want.
I'll just run through a few more of these. You guys can either ding, ding, ding or on them, okay? Knowing, this one cracks me up. Knowing somebody's favorite meal or band on a first date isn't enough for me to sleep with them. I don't necessarily think I knew what Carl's favorite dinner was by the time I finally crossed over. Hello? That's weird.
That's no.
Right?
That's
not the kind of information I want right away on the first date.
Put it this way: do you look at him and go, or look at her, or whatever, and say, "I want to tap that"? And if you do, go for it.
One person comes out and says, "It seems like my generation has lost the meaning of sex with another person." Everybody's heads just all turn sideways like my puppy does when I'm telling her something, and she's like,
What the hell? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
And, there's something there that got lost in translation.
Now we got two completely conflicting views here. Okay. As you practice safe sex, an individual should feel free to have sex with whomever, no matter what the date number is.
Okay.
That's okay. No, that's cool. At least they're putting out, safe sex and everything. So if you're going to sleep with everybody, at least be protected.
Once again, age appropriate consenting behavior.
Exactly. We're adults.
Okay, but here comes the next one. If I ever have sex again, which that should set up what's coming. Okay, I'm just saying, whoever it is with will need to submit to an STD and HIV test prior to us having sex. Fill out the form in triplicate. After the background check is here, and I check all of your references, we'll talk. Hot. Very hot.
It's not unreasonable to, in this day and age to ask about that. Somewhere in the middle there, you know what I mean? But if you start off with, if I ever have sex again, you're in a really bad place right there. Knowing whether or not somebody has genital warts, it's probably not a bad idea.
No, I would probably use a condom.
Well, then...
I would... Okay, let's put it this way. I would assume that if you are having sex on the first date, part of that conversation what happens somewhere between the would you like dessert and do you need any coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would hope.
Otherwise, stick with your rules. Don't do that first, Just start with a little fellatio, a little kissing. Learn the body before you go down to the areas that, might scare you off.
Right. Well, and it's just so funny because you throw this out and you're going to get all these different responses, but then you get this one, and this one always, to me, smacks of religious-infused residual guilt, which is, I think it gives very little pleasure compared to having sex with someone you have feelings for. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, but I've had one or two of those little flingoids in my life, and didn't suck.
No,
didn't.
No, it's you can certainly have sex without love, and it can be really good sex.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, that's all there is to the fact that it's that someone isn't. Hey, it's, really fun to have sex with someone you love, but it can be really fun to,
Especially anonymous sex can be kind of exciting,
But you wouldn't know. that.
I don't know nothing about that.
I don't either. Some of the other comments, this one person weighs in and says, I'd been dating a guy for a few months before the first time, and then we did it, and it was bad and weird.
And now you're stuck.
Now you have to go, oh, I mean, I'm sorry, but there's an argument there that maybe we should have checked the merchandise.
You should have get a look at the goods.
Probably an argument over the fact that if it's awkward, you're not really talking.
Right. It's key to
just
communication.
Going through there, because if you waited that long, did someone just arbitrarily say it's been 3.5 months and we've gone out 17 times, and so we might as well get this over with without. If you've gone 3.5 months without having sex, I'm hoping at one point there was a conversation about whether you're having sex or not. Can
you imagine having an arranged marriage and not seeing it until your wedding and you're married? I'm glad that's out of style.
Did any of you guys see that show though, Married at First Sight?
I heard about it, and it was one of the most appalling concepts. I mean, one, I don't have cable anymore because I just can't deal with that crap. But no.
I watched it. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't stop staring at it. Yeah. And, there's an interest. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, they called the whole thing a social experiment, right? Well, so they had these 3 couples, and 2 of the 3 at the end of the season that I just saw, I think it was, the second season of it, I'm pretty sure. 2 of them stayed together for the foreseeable future, at least. One pair started out like you thought these were going to be the lovebirds of the crew, and they just ended up basically fucking hating each other. I mean, one of them called the husband called her like the devil or Satan or something like that, and she was kind of bitchy, but there was just so many other things going on. But 2 of the 3 ended up really liking each other and at least giving it another period of time.
I mean, there's going to have to be a semi. I mean, if you're going to audition for a show called this, you would assume there's probably a similar personalities there just to even contemplate something like that.
Yeah.
But that, no. That's
but
just,
for airing and for ratings, they're going to put complete opposites together just to get some action.
I can't imagine what the layers of legal protection for the producers and everybody, how thick that must have been, because they do have to technically get a legal divorce because it was
illegally married.
Yeah, but I mean there was they used a sociologist, a psychologist, there was a spiritual advisor, and I think there was a 4th expert in there.
Was a financial advisor in there somewhere?
No,
I hope.
No. And you know what? That's funny. One of the couples that didn't, the couple I should say that didn't make it, money was an issue because she made a lot of money. She's got like a big hoo-ha career, and his career is a admirable one. He's an ER nurse, but she was more prosperous, and that became a thing.
What would they do with it as a prenup? Wouldn't that be part of the whole legal aspect?
I would have to think that they would have, because why would you go give half of your son? But there's something to the idea of matching on the idea of values.
Yeah.
But I still think it's okay to go get laid if you want to, as long as you're protected, right?
You should watch Dating Naked. I started watching some of those. Oh my God, that's like a train wreck. But they're all naked.
Funny?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's just like they get all these people together, and you meet these people naked, and it's like Big Brother, but everybody's nude, and you just keep the girl that you don't want in the house anymore. You send her off, and a new girl comes on, but everybody's naked, and it's crazy. I watched a few episodes. I'm like, this is a train wreck. Dating Naked.
Okay, it's got to be another cable thing. Whatever.
Yes, it's a cable thing. It's Dating
It's MTV,
Naked.
Isn't it?
That or VH1. I think it has got to be MTV. Something.
There's like, where's the M anymore?
I know.
Guys,
right.
Remember? I mean, were you there the summer it first came on TV?
Yeah, we had.
God, we're dating ourselves. Okay.
No, I know. I giggle over stuff like that. One of the reasons I stopped watching a lot of this stuff is that I watched an episode or 2 of Hoarders, and I realized, that's funny. This person has 20 years of tax returns in a closet. But then I watched a couple of episodes where they're removing dead animals from the house, and I realized that they're exploiting these people. Yeah. And I can't, I was unable to watch that anymore. Or the folks that are, I'm like, I cannot take personally, and I know some people just need to sit back and watch other people and realize that their life isn't so bad. But to me, that sort of TV show was, I couldn't do it. And The Bachelorette, or for me, and I can see the appeal because you just sit back and you're like, oh my God, people are crazy.
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha.
You get caught up in the fairy tale, you know?
Yeah, and for that, but for me, it doesn't work. Real Housewives, all that sort of stuff, it's just not. It's not a deal for me. I don't find that interesting at all.
Michael.
That's why she got to get rid of cable. I will not get rid of cable. I need and certain reality shows. If they're stupid, I'm not going to. You know, I've been watching RuPaul. Oh my God, and Drag You.
Well, from what I understand, like I used to watch Project Runway because it used to be about the fashion, and then towards the end, it was about them manipulating the film to watch the contestants bitch about each other. Mm-hmm. When it was actually about competition, it was really fascinating. Yeah. I would watch it with my kid, but I'm like, but that's my own. I'm looking at it, and I'm probably putting my own crap on it, and all this sort of stuff. I get that.
Yeah.
But I enjoy a true competition show, but when it gets to be about people bitching at each other, no.
Yeah.
So with one of the Project Runways, did you watch all the Project Runways?
I haven't watched it. Yeah.
One contestant, his name was Christopher Straub, but he is from Shakopee, and I'm not sure if he won or anything. So I was kind of curious to see. But he's been blowing up on my Facebook all over. But yeah, he's from Shakopee, and I think he won Project Runway.
Okay, and I have friends that know him, so yeah, he pops up on my.
Is Heidi Klum still on it?
Yeah, I believe she's still doing it.
I got to meet her once.
And so is the guy that really makes it, Tim Gunn.
Yeah.
Without him, but without Tim, there is no Project Runway.
I have to say, she is an incredibly nice human being.
Oh, I believe she is.
I liked her very, very much. I mean, she was just like, and I'm just like, oh, I wanted to hate you. I really, really wanted to hate you. And she laughs. She's like, yeah, that's okay. You know, whatever. But she'll just talk. And her little accent is just like the best ever, and all of that kind of stuff. Well, we should probably shut her down for this week. Next week is Mrs. Sin. And I'm going to bring a seatbelt this time because I wasn't prepared last time. Were you?
No, I wasn't. Make sure you give her my best. Tell her,
I will give her a hug for you.
Thank you.
And so, Colleen, have a great week. Michael, thanks for coming in again. And check us out Facebook. Just go to the Gr8 Nrthrn Sexcast. Send us your questions for the swingers. Is she knowledgeable. And write to us, join us, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds great.
Bye.